bet it's just Greg playing another one of his dumb jokes. He's gonna turn up, I'm sure of it. He's probably in my house waiting for us right now, you guys.
Wait, I did it. All right, it's a podcast. I think. Say something, children.
It's spooky time.
It's spooky time! I had to pull it out. It's that time of year.
It's spooky.
Yep.
It's real spoopy in here.
No, I'm terrified.
You should be.
That's right. We are braving the DG Podcast Castle once again. I am your host, Dracula.
Oh, dang, that's what we should do. Just make ourselves monsters for the month. I stayed the same, of course.
Yeah. Here's Silver Val, the Godzilla monster.
Yeah.
She's here.
This time she's going as Mothra.
Godzilla dressed as Mothra.
In the outro credits, I made Jason Voorhees, and Ross, what's his name? Clawman from Nightmare on Elm Street. Freddy Krueger.
Oh, Freddy Krueger.
Yeah.
And then I just had Silver Val as Silver Val because you're already spooky.
Nice. Spooky.
You're already a spooky monster.
Ah.
I've seen you in real life. Children run.
I know. I cover up mirrors in my house because I scare myself.
Well, you just need to get that that Dracula thing, or that guy that was really vain that stays young forever but can't look in the mirror.
Well, it was Dorian Gray.
Dorian Gray.
If you look in it, you die immediately. Which is a really lame power to have, where you just whittle away because you saw yourself. You just got to trust you're hot.
I actually did it. Ah. Just, do I have something in my teeth? Can't look in the mirror, I die.
Well, I mean, you could live in this weird world of self-delusion where you just think you're hot and you never dissuade yourself from that from that image because you never look in mirrors or anything.
But you just look like a horrible just creature.
No, I'm hot. What are you talking about?
How many YouTube videos I've seen recently where there are people asked to rate themselves and they're like, I'm a 10. And I'm like, 4, maybe?
Women
we're in that timeline already.
For some reason, women think that confidence means that you walk around thinking you're just all that. And they live in this weird delusional world of, lack of reality.
Uh-huh.
Much like Silver.
I think I rate myself accurately. Totally.
Oh, and the negatives.
Well, as a Godzilla monster, I would say you are a 10. I mean, of all the Godzilla monsters out there.
Godzilla monster, 10 out of 10. Otherwise, 2 out of 10.
Well, there's not like an attractive quality. That's like saying, would you date Darth Vader? And it's like that's not really a consideration that you would really have. He's just bad guy. Of course, there was that girl
I'm sure that's
in the
some
comics
people
that
dig
did.
the helmet.
Well, there was a girl in the comics that actually like had this weird, like one-sided love for Darth Vader, and she thought she had this thing going.
So it's like a Joker and Harley Quinn scenario.
Except for Darth Vader was completely unaware until she crossed the line, and then he offed her.
Oh, I see.
Because it's Darth Vader. What are you gonna do?
Yeah, he's a one woman gal. Or he's a one woman gal. He's a one woman guy.
Well, I mean, he did choke her to death, and then she lost the will to live. Weird robot gave birth to the babies. And then in a stroke of genius, they hid his son in the location where he was born.
Who would ever look there?
You'll never know.
They'll never find this guy. Darth Vader never looks back where he came from.
Yeah, no. Huh, this
He
kid
had
is the
such
approximate
traumatic
date.
memories of Tatooine that he just wiped it from his mind.
Well, sans Coruscant is everywhere. You're getting that
I don't
suit.
like sand.
It's a great podcast, everybody, and a stupid amount of stuff to talk about. As always, you might be wondering, where is Ross? He gave me a maybe, which I took as a definite, and he will be here. And if he isn't,
Trust in that.
he disappoints me and his mother. Both of us
So
are
we shall
disappointed.
banish him to the outer realms.
To the outer realms. He won't be able to get in our castle.
Ha! It's ours.
How's it going, Silver? How's school going?
Oh, just fantastic.
Oh, well, that's good.
I watched the thing. I did that.
Oh.
It was Fantastic Four, but whatever.
How'd you like it?
I thought it would be worse. I'm shocked.
Both me and Ross had the same response. It was, hey, everybody, Fantastic Four. And then we saw it, and it was like, it was all right.
Yeah, she was like, it's surprisingly okay. I'm not revolted.
I mean, you start asking serious questions of, so the Fantastic Four eliminated all war and militaries on the planet and became this sort of strong arm dictator of Earth.
I did have serious questions about the logistics with, Sue Storm. Yeah, you can't go on a plane while you're pregnant, but it's totally fine to enter space.
No, there was a lot of bad decision making. Poor parents. Just bad parents.
He was like, why are you there?
Yeah, but otherwise, it's like a generic. It was like a 7. It wasn't amazing, but it was all right. I mean, compared to Superman, it was the most rational film I've ever seen.
Yeah, exactly.
I actually
Way
watched.
more
Not
cool
saying-
for Superman.
That's saying something there.
Well, I watched Superman with my mother, and she hated it. She actually said she would
My
never
mom-
watch that again.
Yeah, my mom had started to watch it, and she's like, no.
Because everybody
Even
knows.
My dad watched it. It was like, I can't.
Everybody knows who Superman is, and it's a part of our DNA. When you watch it, you start this feeling of, this doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel like Superman.
Right.
There's something
I felt
wrong.
depressed. It was,
Well-
yeah.
The thing is that there are so many superheroes that they did that to. You know what I mean?
It's
Like,
just
we know in our DNA who Spider-Man, who Batman, who Superman is. We know those characters. And when somebody tries to make the character go out of those lines, it's like, ew, this feels wrong.
What?
I was
Superman is
looking at
worse.
I was looking at some recent stuff on Spider-Man, and apparently they're having Spider-Man go bad in the comics right now, and it's like, ugh, no, I'm skipping this. I don't want to have anything to do with this. That's not Spider-Man.
I mean, fine. The reason why Superman's worse is normies understand Superman.
That's
I
true.
mean, our parents have watched the Chris Reeves if they're old enough, or Christopher Reeves, or George Reeves if they're old enough, or Christopher Reeves if they.
I believe you're right. I think it is George Reeves.
And they know who he's supposed to be. They have an expectation. He's in their DNA. Spider-Man, though a very popular character, not as well ingrained in American society as Superman is. And if you're watching something and you feel like it's wrong, like it doesn't feel like Superman, you did something wrong.
Yeah. Well, I think some of it goes even a little bit further to we know what a hero is, and when you try to make a hero act in a way that we as a culture don't think a hero would act, we also get that. And so I wonder if some of the ick we've been feeling about the superhero movies recently have been the fact that um, we that we've been seeing these people in, for what they're doing. They're screwing around with the superhero um, story, and it's not, and because it's not fitting what we know a superhero should be, we're also getting that little ick factor too.
Maybe that's really hard to define. Maybe. I think people could just tell something's wrong. You start to insert politics and you just kind of see it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not hard to do it, when you go, oh, we got a new superhero movie and they've changed the races of everybody and the genders. And it's just like, oh, well, I know what they're trying to do. And I'm going to clock out. Goodness. Played some Final Fantasy. Not worth talking about. We've got a lot to go over. Jason, real quick.
I watched the Wild Robot. I thought the show was fun and endearing, and I liked the animation. But I've rubbed off on my daughter a little too much because she's actually read the book that they're based on, and she was having little moments of, that didn't happen in the book. Why did they erase that character? Who is this guy?
Expectations will ruin something faster than anything else.
Yep. It was still a pretty fun movie.
Sweet. So, not to delay or put back the opener here, it's time we sat down and talked about gaming and the direction we're going, because there's been a big shakeup to happen recently with EA, as well as a bunch of other stuff. Yeah. And if you're looking down the road at the tea leaves, it looks like gaming is going through a bit of a change. And I don't think it's going to be the same thing as that it was anymore. Much to everybody's chagrin, because nobody likes change. But
true.
This is what we're going to get. As the why is it edited so weird? Freaking every time I reopen Streamlabs, every stinking time. So EA has bought out, as we talked about last week, has been bought out by Saudi Arabia, as well as some other groups involved with Jared Kushner. I don't know why they feel the necessity to point him out specifically. Like Donald Trump has inserted himself into EA. It's a firm he owns. It's not like Trump is directly involved in screwing with EA or anything. Saudi Arabia is the bigger owner of this.
It could be that they're pointing out that Saudi Arabia is not the only one involved, as kind of a no, guys, don't worry. we're still gonna just be us. See, we got these normal guys that are buying us out, as opposed to if it was just Saudi Arabia, that could really
Well,
send
yeah, but this is coming from the
a
media.
solid
The
message.
media is pointing it out, and it's mostly Saudi Arabia.
Hmm.
It's
In
minor
that case, I
Jared
don't know.
Kushner. It's not like EA is going, well, it's not just Saudi Arabia, it's other people. No, the media is pointing out it's Jared Kushner as part of it. And it's not even him directly. It's a firm he owns or is head of or something. It's mostly Saudi Arabia. They just like to point it out because Kushner's related to Trump because he married his daughter.
I guess that's I don't know. I mean, it seems to me that okay, there seems to be two things kind of going on here. Either one, they're trying to say, don't worry, EA is still EA. It's going to be able to do woke stuff because Saudi Arabia isn't their only backer now, isn't their only owner. See, we have some Americans involved in it, or they're trying to say, oh look, this is going to be terrible because uh, Jared Kushner has ties to Trump, and so it's going to be even
Yeah.
worse than we think
No
because it's
one's
Saudi Arabia and Trump in
no
it.
one's pitching it that it's going to be fine because it's not just Saudi Arabia. Nobody is. And in fact, Jared Kushner's involvement would be a footnote if it wasn't for the fact that he's involved with Trump. They are a small part of the greater money being used by Saudi Arabia. This is a side conversation that's mostly irrelevant because the big purchase being EA. Now, the reaction has been negative for the most part and fairly mixed. Mostly negative. Because a lot of people are having second guesses as to why is Saudi Arabia involving themselves and buying one of the biggest gaming companies out there. EA doesn't have the biggest track record, but they own a lot of developers. And a lot of those developers are now going to be under this umbrella of a Saudi ownership. And there's concern
That's
that this
true.
is going to reflect on the games that are going to come out. That Saudi is going to look down the road and be like, we don't approve of this or we don't approve of that. I mean, there are jokes that soccer stadiums now are just going to be a bunch of women in hijabs and stuff in the audience. And however else that is going to go. But the negativity has hit the internet to an extreme. There's some speculation as to why it's doing that. Saudi
Really doesn't
seems
make
to want to diversify itself away from oil, which seems like a smart thing to do. They've been trying to insert themselves into a lot of culture, big name multimedia sort of things, are trying to include investors. Maybe they're trying to get away from just a sole oil industry. Not that I see that going away anytime soon, but if it does, they have more finances outside of just oil, which is a smart thing for the country to do. But they also have a huge amount of pocket money that they can just throw around. And a lot of that money is going towards multimedia companies positioned in the West, particularly America. And EA is just one of them. Well, there are other Saudi things we're going to talk about this week, or today, more specifically, because Saudi is throwing themselves into the middle of everything. And they have a huge pocketbook to spend this money on. And the diversifying, I don't blame them. It's smart. But, let's read a little bit. Saudi has invested billions to acquire stakes in companies like Activision Blizzard, Capcom, Embracer Group, Nexon, Nintendo, Take-Two Interactive in recent years. It also owns fighting game maker SNK. Ownership
Really?
that some fighting game enthusiasts believe influenced the content of the developer's most recent game, Fatal Fury City of the Wolves. The Public Investment Fund is a sovereign wealth fund, a state-owned investment fund of Saudi Arabia created in 1971. The wealth fund is now overseen by Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, Saudi Arabia's de facto ruler since 2015. And according to the Sovereign Wealth Fund Institute, Saudi Arabia's PIF oversees an estimated $925 billion in assets.
Wow.
And this investment group has been throwing their money all over the place. They were bringing WWE big pay-per-views to Saudi Arabia once a year, and it started a few years back. And it became this big thing where they were having big WWE matches in their big arena that they built, the big expensive arena. Let's not forget they're going to build a Disney park in Saudi Arabia.
Seems so dumb.
A massive Disney park in Saudi Arabia. And this influence is going to spread through the gaming community. I would like to remind everybody, as much as people like to go, oh, diversity is our strength and whatnot, Saudi Arabia does not hold your values. If you're into inclusivity or representation, Saudi Arabia does not care. Or more specifically, doesn't care about values that might offend them. And this is a concern for people who actually might care about the developers of the companies that are making games under the EA banner. Kotaku had an article out talking about the concerns over Saudi Arabia, calling the buyout to be by the worst people around. More specifically.
Well, yeah, you could say that.
Let me remind you, The Sims is under the Saudi Arabia umbrella now. Let's see. Saudi Arabia's government attempts to sport washing away the stink of dire human rights laws, as evidenced by its investment in various facets of the video game industry, as well as documented at this point. Its money runs so deep that it has investments and ownerships in things like Fighting Game Tournament Evo, the Esports World Cup, and even Pokemon Go. And now EA has fallen under its umbrella. And the internet reaction is really negative. Ooh, Jason Schreier is really unhappy about this.
If you take 5 seconds to think about the values that have been coming out of that portion of the world, they are at odds with just about anything, any values that you can think of from the Western world. And it's funny that it takes something like this to get people to start thinking about that. As if all the other stuff that's been going on, no, that's all fine. But
yeah, Saudi Arabia is...
once you touch our once you touch our video games, no. That's as far as we're going here.
Well, that's what sparked Gamergate. It's like, we don't care. Oh, stop touching our games, though. To remind people, EA owns BioWare, which is Dragon Age and Mass Effect, Respawn, which is Titanfall and Apex Legends, System Shock, Dead Space, Need for Speed, Ultima, Online, Wing Commander, The Sims, so on and so on and so forth. Now owned directly controlled by the Saudi royal family. They're a publicly traded company. There's nothing you can do about it.
Nope.
Maybe second guess whether or not you put your company's public.
Well, the thing is this person, Micah, who says this business model should be flatly illegal, ban it completely. It's like, yeah, you know what's going to talk here? You're going to talk here. Don't buy EA's games while they are under control of the Saudi royal family. There you go.
Yeah, but they don't do that. People don't make decisions like that, which is what's so stupid.
Yep, exactly.
Why is that? There it is. When we tell people, if companies make decisions that are against your values or bad practices or treat their audiences poorly, just don't buy their games. That is the quickest way for them to know. Like, you can get on the internet and complain, but it's not as effective as, oh, we're just not going to purchase it. They find out. They found out with Dragon Age Veilguard. They found out with a lot of games in the past, in the recent period of time. They know you don't like what they're doing.
The thing is that a lot of people are worried, and it should, because, like you said, the Saudis haven't necessarily been a bastion of uh, free market ideas and human rights and things like that. So there is a bit of concern going into this that what are we going to get out of that? What's going to be the result of this? It could also be that because um, the Saudis are involved, that that EA is going to be like, we got to pull back on the politics stuff and just do games. So it could possibly be a benefit to us.
Well, depending on what you want.
Yeah.
If you don't want them to stop focusing on the politics, then this might not be something that you want them to do.
Right.
Let's go to BioWare. BioWare has apparently been waiting for the axe for a long time. Jason, we're going to address it in a moment, but EA already is sitting on $20 billion in debt.
Ooh, ouch. Ow, ow.
And there's been a concern because BioWare came out with a real bad stinker and hasn't had a real hard banger in a while, that they are going to be sold off piecemeal. That was already a concern before the buyout. And now they're sitting here going, oh, well, we're screwed.
Yeah, I can see why they would be screwed in this case. Right now, they just got an influx of $55 million. That can pay for that $55 billion, excuse me. That can pay for this hole that
No. The 55 is for the company. That 20 billion still exists.
Well, right.
So they bought a company that has $20 billion in debt.
Yeah.
The 55, they didn't buy it and like 20 of it goes into the hole. They bought it and they have the 20 billion in debt.
It sucks.
Yeah. They bought it with the debt.
Why would you pay $55 billion for a company that's 20 billion in the hole?
They're trying to take over multimedia. They have deep pockets. And the expectation is they're probably going to use, because BioWare, EA, I think generates like 7-point-something billion a year. And they're probably going to try and pay down that debt in the near future. And the speculation is it's not going to change the future for EA because they're probably just going to focus on trying to have their recent successful games to try and pay down the debt. I think that's naive, as I would expect them to start closing down or selling off developers who are not making money. That's what I would expect them to do if they have that much debt.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking here as well.
BioWare's been in the doldrums, and the Take private deal anticipated to close in Q1 of 2027. It feels like the studio's future is either a quick sale or a complete closure. Maybe if you'd have had a banger instead of a woke piece of garbage that preached to everybody about gender transition, you might have had a future, BioWare. Maybe you made some bad decisions, BioWare.
Just maybe.
It's like nobody could have predicted this is what would happen. Nobody could have predicted. You made a game nobody wanted, and you dishonored the original source material, and this is where we've gotten ourselves.
We kind of predicted that. We didn't predict that the Saudis would get involved and try to and end up buying EA. No, but
you can't have failures like this constantly without some sort of consequence involved. Well, the plot thickens, everybody. So the former Dragon Age director has come out and said that EA's new owners will not censor BioWare's progressive messaging unless they want an apocalyptic backlash. I don't know
Well,
what leverage
one-
he thinks they have, but
Yeah. Yeah, I was
Um,
gonna say that
go ahead.
that right there is wishful thinking. Because I'm from my perspective, if the Saudis come in and they start censoring stuff, they're going to be censoring what we term as woke nonsense. And most of the internet, I think, would be on board with that. And so the backlash that you would uh, get, if any, are from just a small portion. It wouldn't be the backlash that BioWare got for Veilguard.
Oh, well, they'll just shut you down as opposed to just not produce your game or whatever.
Yeah.
To read some quotes from former Dragon Age director Mark Dara. If this is a PR move for the Saudi government as much as it's a financial one, the studios that don't have much of a track record, what you might do is just come in and put your thumb on the scale and push their messaging in the directions you want, or at the very least, steer them away from the messaging that makes you look bad. But for the studios that make more of a track record, especially a track record that maybe doesn't line up with your political views, again, BioWare, you're going to look at the studio and wonder how you make them fit into your new structure. It's hard to imagine that you have BioWare pivot from having very progressive messaging to having the reverse because it's what the government wants. It's hard to imagine that the public perception of a game that comes out of BioWare, even if you do that, isn't apocalyptically bad. BioWare,
What?
the last Dragon Age wasn't apocalyptically bad in the audience's reaction. You're telling me if they come out with a game that's politically reversed from the direction they've been going, that will be catastrophically bad? As if the last game wasn't already catastrophically bad? Didn't sell horrifically and no one wanted it? You really think that audiences are going to be marching in the streets upset that they don't get the progressive left-wing politics in their games that they expect when they didn't want it in the first place? And they reacted poorly to you going in that direction? You really think fans are going to be that upset? Oh,
That's what I said.
they're going to tear the roof down because BioWare doesn't have trans representation in their next Dragon Age game.
So
There's going to
man,
be like 5 people on the internet railing against EA and BioWare because they cut out the leftist politics and focused on delivering a good game, and the rest of the internet is going to line up to buy it. That's what's going to happen.
What was that, Silver?
I just said so mad.
So mad.
So mad.
I'm so mad at you guys. Oh, they're going to go after you guys. The angry internet. They're real upset that you're
No,
not
they're
taking
not.
this in the direction that they want it to go. Oh, by the way, yeah, the company does have $20 billion in debt. How does EA even function with that much debt? No wonder they had to sell out.
Yeah, exactly.
And this is
That's
a
what
thing.
happens.
I think we're looking at aged companies who have been in the industry for a long time, and I don't think they're doing as well financially as everybody thinks they are. I think they're sitting on debt, and I think they have had a lot of failures. And like, what was the last massive game that was a huge success that you can think of?
The last game that I can think of that was, well, this might be because it's been on my mind recently, but Space Marine 2.
Space
did
Marine
really
2?
well.
It was probably Helldivers 2 was the last big success.
Yes.
But it's like not Mass Effect,
No,
not Dragon Age,
no.
not Gears of War for a while. The
you haven't had
the
Gears of
second
War for a
Spider-Man game was a failure compared to the first one. And I know everybody wants to make it out to be a huge success, but if you compare the numbers, it did not sell as well.
The Last of Us Part 2
Did not sell as well as Last of Us Part 1. They're like, oh, well, it sold really well. Not compared to the first one.
Yeah.
Declining sales. How sustainable is this really? Long term. Are we having the same problem that we had in the movie industry where they make a big game, it does well, and in order to make the game even more successful the second time, they spend more money, and it's just sort of perpetual motion machine of greater and greater expenses to the point where it's an unsustainable business model that you can't make enough money back to justify the costs of the games. We've talked about this exhaustively in this podcast. Game costs are skyrocketing as well as movie costs. And the only rational thing you can do is lower the cost of these big games, spend less money, and maybe it'll be less spectacular, but it'll be more affordable, and that way your profit will be better. I know this sounds insane.
It's
crazy.
I think that a lot of companies have that old mentality of you've got to spend money to make money. Now there is a little bit of truth to that, but at the same time you can't overspend to increase past a certain point. You know what I mean? It's like up to this point is good. We can spend that much money, but if we go over that, the return on our investment is not going to be enough to cover what we have been rolling into it. And that's what they've been doing right now, is they get a little taste of success, and then they're like, you know what, if we doubled the budget for the next game, we'll have double the profits. And that's not how it works. Joker Part 2 was probably a bad example of this, but obviously the studio thought that they could do gangbusters with a second Joker movie, but I mean that was kind of sabotaged as opposed to actually fitting in with it. But yeah, I mean the video game industry, I'm thinking, is heading for another crash, just because, like you said, they've been the costs for creating games have been ballooning, and instead of delivering on the promise of a game, they've been preaching to the customers. They've been blaming their customer base. They've been offending their customer base. They've been alienating their customer base, and that is not a good business model. Any way you dice it, it's not a good business model.
Well, and they double down on the politics, and whether or not you fall in one direction on the politics or not, doubling down on the politics alienates part of your audience. And I know you might, well, I agree with it. It was like, okay, that's fine. But that now alienates the part that doesn't agree with it. And probably the safest business model, where it's movies or video games, is to not go political, because then you have a larger audience to access when it comes to consuming your product. The worst thing you can do is double down and go hard on politics that are already divisive, already not universally accepted, especially things like the trans stuff. And if you're a trans individual, I fully understand your expectation that you want more acceptance. But people aren't on board with the multi-genders. And so when you make it a massive feature in your game, it feels preachy and people push against it. And they don't like it. And so now you're going, well, it's important to expose everybody. You know what? People aren't going to be converting to your way of thinking. They're just going to leave. And that's what they did. They just left. They're not buying your game. They're not consuming your product. And BioWare has been crapping out a stinker over and over again. Lack of success, lack of financial response to people trying to buy their game. Dragon Age was an absurd failure. Absurd failure. And it shouldn't have been. It shouldn't have been.
No.
But somehow they lacked the capacity to understand how to make games nowadays. It just baffles them. And this brings us to another direction the game industry is going. Big news this week. Earth-shattering news that has had hugely negative reception. Game Pass has gone up in price. And it is not being received well, as I barely try and get this to fit onto the screen.
I mean, it wouldn't. Customers don't like having to pay more for something that they've been using for forever.
Well, Game Pass has gone up from $19.99 to $29.99 Ultimate. That is a 50% increase.
That is.
Let's see. Let's clarify. The lowest rung. Let's see. Ubisoft Classics valued at $7.99 is now part of all. Let's see. Oh, yeah, they've added Ubisoft to it. And they're claiming that you're going to get more value because they're adding a bunch more games to Game Pass. Let's see. Ultimate $20.99 was originally $19. Premium $14.99, originally $10. Essential $10. I don't know what it went up from that before. So it seems like the increase overall is about 50% across the board. $30 a month for Ultimate. Look, Ultimate is a massive value for what you get. You get brand new games. You get a huge library of games that you don't have to purchase, but it's still $30 a month.
Yeah.
And that's a huge increase.
When is it going into effect?
October 1st, so now.
Dang it.
Skyrocketing costs of Game Pass. And I have Ultimate, and I love Ultimate. I love to be able to play the new games that come out all the time, and I play them. And it's been a lot of fun. I prefer to own my games, and it allows me to sort of explore stuff I normally wouldn't because it feels like it's free, even though I'm really paying.
Yeah.
Not to mention the console prices have gone up. The Xbox Series X is up like $150 from its original price.
Yeah.
Things are going well in Game Pass, Xbox land. And this is just another indication. Now, there's some speculation as to why this is the case. One of the biggest things people have been pointing to is the poor reception, the poor sales of Black Ops 6. And they're blaming the fact that it was on Game Pass as to why it didn't sell. And that this could have cost Microsoft something like $300 million in lost sales. I don't know how you can measure that. People playing it on Game Pass does not guarantee they would have purchased it. I played Black Ops 6 on Game Pass, and I wasn't going to buy it. I mean, that wasn't going to happen. So I don't know how you could calculate $300 million in lost sales. I don't know about that. But this is an indication of the problems that happen with Game Pass. Brand new games, day one, come out on Game Pass. And it adds a lot of value to the service, but those don't end up in sales because it's free on Game Pass. Now their hope and expectation is they'll add more people to Game Pass, but that also negates actual purchases of said product. I don't know how sustainable this business model is because a lot of people behind the scenes are claiming that Game Pass is actually damaging sales of games because of its existence.
Well, I liked Sea of Stars. I thought it was a great game, but I haven't bought it because I was able to play it for free on Game Pass.
I try to buy games I like. I was able to find, I played on the PlayStation Plus. Dang it. Ghostwire Tokyo. Loved it. Had so much fun with it. Maxed out all the platinumed it and everything. And then I was like, if I could ever find that on sale, I'm buying that. So I bought it physically because I loved that game. It was a lot of fun. A game that I normally wouldn't have accessed, that I just sort of casually found on PlayStation Plus and just tried. That also goes for Expedition 33. I heard good things, but because it's
Uh-huh.
on Game Pass, I tried it. It's really good. It's a lot of fun. I may never have experienced that game or even purchased it. That being said, it's really good for consumers. But with
Yes,
the
it
price
is.
going up, people are now going to have to second guess whether or not the price is worth the cost. Now, one could argue that if you buy a bunch of games during the year, that it's really worth it. But if you don't buy a lot of games, $30 a month, like after a couple months, that's a game.
Yeah.
I mean, I know
Yeah, it
prices
is.
are now up $70-$80 now, but you know what I mean. Especially if there's
Right.
stuff on sale, you're waiting for a sale. That could be 2 games once a month.
So I was just looking because I was uh, I have Game Pass Ultimate as well, and it looks like I still have Game Pass. The price for me is still $20. Apparently, for current customers, our price won't go up until November. But anybody that gets it new, they will be purchasing it for $30
I mean,
from now
if you
on.
want to scramble, buy your subscription now.
Yeah,
Don't wait. Just don't do it month per month. Just buy your year. Now, I have a year for PlayStation Plus right now, so it's like set it and forget it. Don't look at it. The reaction has been extremely negative.
yeah,
And Game Pass is one of those things that it's, I mean, they've been wanting to do sort of a Netflix model for gaming where you pay one
yeah.
price and you
I
get a
mean,
bunch of stuff. But that also means that sales aren't going to be what everybody wants them to be. I mean, Netflix existence means that physical sales of movies are not going to be as much of a thing. And guess what? They aren't. It has heavily damaged the physical market and has heavily damaged
yeah,
individual
yeah,
purchases of movies. You just look around your streaming services for the game you want. But this is the new world we live in. And it's hard to predict the direction this market is going, but gaming is changing. Large corporations are buying up these huge companies. They're looking for live service, constant revenue of people playing things like the latest COD or the, you know, whatever live service game they can get out of you, whatever new EA sports some nonsense. And they want to push you into some sort of subscription model. And the subscription model is going out because, believe it or not, the Netflix model is questionable as to whether or not it's sustainable itself.
Well, in some ways, Netflix was amazing because it gave you access to a ton of content, and you didn't obviously have to buy all that content yourself. But at the same time, you have to take into consideration, should they be making their own content, or should they just be purchasing content to or licensing content to play on their service? Because it seems to me that when they started making their own content is when we started having these issues with them hiking up the price, including ads, and basically just having Netflix become a traditional uh, cable service.
I don't
It
know.
was really nice when I
I,
didn't have to worry about ads.
I don't know,
I could just
Jason.
watch
I
something.
don't know if Netflix's original content is really the drain on their revenue that we think it
It
is.
may
I
not
think
be.
the model of the subscription model and then all of the licensing they're paying is
Uh-huh.
probably the bigger problem. Now they make original content to drag people in to say like, hey, you can only get this content here. And we're coming out with new
True.
content all of the time and it's premium content. And it's probably doesn't help that the premium content they make is absurdly pricey. Like the amount of cost it has for Stranger Things lately is absurd. I have to believe that the new Stranger Things season coming out is probably going to be something like 20 plus million an episode. Like it's going to be insane the amount of money they're dropping on it. But they're doing that in order to bring you to Netflix. But in the end,
That's true.
they're not really making they're the most of the money, and this was a few years ago, most of what was watched was already established content. When The Office was on Netflix, it's like most people, when they got Netflix, it wasn't the original content that Netflix made. Most of the stuff they watched was like The Office or Friends or, those sort, like Seinfeld.
Right.
It was like 90% of their streaming were those three shows.
Right. Which makes me question, is it really worth their time and energy to make their own content when their most popular content was Friends, Seinfeld,
Yeah, but
etc.?
you have to make people feel like they're getting something fresh and new. Otherwise, it's just this is where you can watch the shows you watch.
Yeah.
They have to come up with something or buy it from somebody else. But the problem is that the streaming model now is now damaging Hollywood because people aren't going to theaters. They're just waiting for it to hit streaming. And then they have to pay licensing fees to streaming. Lest us forget that for some reason Disney Plus pays a licensing fee to Disney, the same company,
So
to stream their movies that came out on their streaming service. And then they estimate the value of that and then pay themselves that money. Bafflingly.
so
That
dumb.
Obama meme where he puts the medal on himself.
Yeah, more or less. And licensing fees could be weird because it depends on who owns it or who has access. Like, it's difficult to tell exactly how much or how much cost. Like, there are some anime, like classic anime, that are absurdly expensive to get licensing to stream. And some of these places are competitive in trying to get the access to certain anime shows. I think one of the biggest and most difficult to get licensing to stream is stuff like Evangelion. Like, the cost is absurd from what I understand. Just backbreakingly absurd to try and get the licensing fee to even stream it on. And you would think, oh, well, they just want more people to access. Nope. They want that. They want that back. Pokemon. How devastating would Pokemon be as on a streaming service?
I would, in my mind, people want money, right?
Well, you hope.
You would go with that.
Well, maybe. Because a lot of companies make decisions that are not financially good decisions. So we like to sit here and think, oh, companies make good decisions because money good. But then you see decisions they make that are not only bad decisions and financially horrible, but mostly ideologically bent, much like BioWare.
BioWare, for instance.
Yeah, like, and so it's like, what are you doing? This is a bad financial decision. Yeah, but it's good because of my beliefs or whatever. So there are values outside of earning money that companies make, that companies make decisions based upon, which are baffling because that's why these companies go out of business. BioWare.
Well, what I wanted to kind of get into was the fact that, like, you have a company that wants to license a product, Friends, for instance. And you would think it's just as easy as going to the company that owns it and saying, we want to license the product. The problem is that usually what happens is not only are you trying to negotiate with the company that owns it, but you're also negotiating with a whole bunch of other companies because of music rights or product endorsements or various things that happened in the show. And so and it makes it super hard because you've got to go. We kind of talked about this the other I think it was 2 weeks ago when we were talking about the new, what was it, Battlefield 6 having like 3 Limp Bizkit songs in it. And there are a bunch of video games out there that aren't on any service now. Nobody has them. If you don't have a physical copy, you have no access to that game because of the soundtrack.
Well, not just the soundtrack, but a licensing period.
Yeah, because it's not only am I going to need to negotiate with the company that that made the game, but now I have to go and negotiate with the music holders to be able to do it, and everybody wants a bigger slice of the pie. So it comes down to, is this going to be financially beneficial for me to try to license this product? And a lot of times the answer is no,
Well, and
because of just how many people you have to appease.
at the height of streaming, let's say The Office, massive streaming,
Uh-huh.
everybody watched it constantly on Netflix, and Peacock saw that. Well, what is it, NBC or whatever, and they went,
Yeah.
"Oh, people just watch The Office over and over again, and we own that. We'll just make a streaming service, and people just come over and watch The Office over and over again." And they made their own streaming service. But the problem is,
And nobody came.
well, people can, but it's like, it's unsustainable to have just one show that
Yeah.
people will watch over and over again. Like, you have to have other stuff to show. So they have to make their own original content, because the streaming, the expectation was going to replace television.
Cable television.
But cable television, the model was sort of refined to a point where it was like, look, we sell ads and we keep the cost down so that the revenue stays up or consistent enough. You want shows that can last longer term. But now with streaming, it's like you don't get week to week response of people going, "Oh, I don't like what you're doing with this show," or "I don't like this one character," or people don't respond, because they will look at the numbers week to week. Streaming has to come out with a whole season in one go, and then they just have to hope it goes. And then those shows are like absurdly expensive to just dump as one big show. And to steer this back to gaming, you have to constantly come out with new content for people to justify having your service. And if you're not still constantly coming out with new content, then people are like, so this is just me getting access to the library of all of the games you have. And eventually they're like, well, I saw The Office, or I played all of the games I wanted to play, and then cancel the subscription. So they have to justify more and more stuff. And it doesn't seem like it's sustainable the way that they're going. And that's why the price has to go up. Now, there has been a big negative reaction. Let's see, is this the article? Yeah, so one of the big reactions to this is people are claiming that this Xbox generation is marked by greed. I don't know if you can say that. It might be that gaming is dying in a way that you're not aware of, and that they can't keep a lot of this going.
Are they saying that that's the gamers that are greedy, or the companies
Xbox.
that are greedy?
Xbox is greedy, and that's why prices are going up. I guarantee, look, I know everybody likes to look at corporations as the monopoly guy with a monocle. I guarantee you
Right.
they want as many people to access their content. A lot of these companies make money in volume, not in individual sales.
Right.
And
Right.
they know hiking up prices will lose buyers, will lose customers. They aren't usually so stupid to think that, well, I'll just charge $100 per game and they'll pay it anyway because they can't get it anywhere. It's like the quality of your product is also a factor and whether or not people are willing to pay the money. If they're raising Game Pass 50%, it's because they're hemorrhaging money because of Game Pass. I guarantee you that's why. It's not because a guy in a monocle is sitting in a little room going, "Mwahaha, your money is mine." They're going to lose subscribers. There's a big negative reaction to this. This could end up being a loss because of the money increase.
Yeah, I'm thinking that this is going to cost them much more than they think they're going to make out of it.
So far, the internet's not responding well.
Yeah.
And it's like, what do you think you're going to do? And I know they're looking at the bottom line in the background. We are going through a massive transition in gaming. I was I read a few articles this last while, and then I was sitting here thinking, and it's like people have been speculating that the end of consoles for a while.
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know if consoles are just going to end as much as people. A lot of the PC elitists think that they're all just going to be on PC and you'll buy subscription model. Maybe. The reason why a lot of people buy consoles is they don't want to buy a PC. And it's cheaper and more self-contained, and it's just for gaming. Not everybody wants to spend a bunch of money to get all these different parts and assemble it, and it's going to cost way more than the more self-contained console to specifically access the games you want to play. There's not a irrationality to having consoles still sticking around. Now, they may go away eventually, but people have been predicting its end for a while. I don't know. I don't know about that. But one thing I can say is as global markets are shifting, as tariffs are going up, as the price of processors and chips are going to be more and more expensive, as China starts to do crazy things when it comes to Taiwan, we might start running into issues where we could see a console cost like $1,000, and that would still be more affordable than building your own gaming PC.
True, but at the same time, if you have a computer already, or you need a computer, why not just buy a computer that can do what you need it as far as functionality wise for business or whatever, and it can also run your games?
Cost.
Why not do that? Because you're going to buy the computer anyway.
Cost.
Now you don't need the console.
Cost, Jason.
Right.
One console is like $500 to get a good gaming PC. You're talking a couple thousand. There's a massive difference in cost.
If game consoles go up to $1,000 and it costs you $2,000 to get a PC, why would you be spending $3,000 if you need to buy the PC anyway?
No, you would get a laptop.
You have to have that,
which a lot of people do.
But a laptop can cost you a couple $1,000s.
Okay,
that's what I'm saying.
It's still way more expensive than getting a console. You're talking like if you're going to do it anyway, you're going to do it anyway. Here's the problem, Jason. What if you don't have $2,000?
Right. I understand that part. What I'm getting at.
No, I don't think you do.
No, I really do. But what I'm saying is, for school, for work, for whatever, you have to buy the PC anyway, and it's going to cost you $3,000 to get both.
Why are you buying both?
Anyway,
you can buy cheap PCs now.
Yeah,
word processing is not that difficult.
Right. I understand that.
Gaming and having a good video card, the prices are only going up.
Very true.
Having a fast enough processor, video cards are absurdly expensive. That and the prices are being driven up because of things like Bitcoin mining, as well as pressure in the market because of China or tariffs or whatever. It is not an irrational decision for somebody to say, I don't have enough money for a big gaming PC. I'm going to buy a gaming console. It's not an irrational decision. It's simply saying I'm just going to buy the more expensive thing because I have to do it. That's not like everybody has computers. It's going to cost a lot of money to get a gaming PC. Look, if my mom has a computer and if she goes, I want to play video games, she's going to have to buy an entirely different computer.
Yes.
Everybody has a computer.
Right now, it doesn't make sense. I'm saying that if consoles are only going to get more expensive, the console is going to get closer and closer to the price of a PC.
Well, it's going to be a while.
PC? I'm not saying it's going to happen overnight. I'm not going to say it's happened. Maybe it'll take 10 years before that happens. But what I'm saying is most people have a computer in their home because they use it for school, for work, for whatever. And most people right now, if they have a console, they also have the computer because You have the gaming console. It's relatively inexpensive comparatively. But if the cost gets up to
Well,
the
see,
point where it's no longer competitive against the PC, that's what I'm talking about.
okay, this scenario 20 years from now, okay. I'm talking about right now. If you already have a computer and you don't have any money and you want a game, you're going to buy a console,
It's a
not
console. Yes,
another
exactly.
computer.
Right.
And for the foreseeable
Right. I'm
future,
talking about
consoles are
the
still,
future.
well, we're dealing with now. And now consoles are still a viable purchasing option for people who want to play video games. PC, the PC Master Race have been up their ass for a long time. Well, it runs better on the PC. Yeah,
Very
if you
much so.
spend the money, and that's the problem. People, most people don't have the money to buy those consoles, which is why to buy gaming PCs, which is why consoles is still affordable, better option for most people. And a
Which
lot of
is also
people,
why,
irrationally or not, have brand loyalty or prefer games on certain places. It's whenever people are on PC and then they get all butthurt that they can't play the latest From Software game. And it's like, yeah, because it's exclusive to console, and that's why they want you to buy the console. Like, I don't know. Well, why can't everything be accessible for my PC? Because they're companies and they have to justify console purchases.
Yep.
You don't get everything you want just because you own a PC.
The kind of the model that we have been seeing though is that, they may be console exclusives for a while, but eventually they get ported over to at least PC. I'm talking about like the Spider-Man game. You can play it on PC now. You can't play it on Xbox.
Well, and I'm not interested in playing a shitty game on another location.
Right.
Spider-Man 2 sucks.
Ah, you love it.
Shut up, Silver. Don't tell me what I love.
That's Spider-Man 2. You love it.
Where do you think things are going, Silver? What do you see as far as the future of gaming?
It's becoming
Apparently she's-
too expensive of a hobby.
Yeah, a lot of people might be making that decision. You're not wrong.
I think people are going to be abandoning it. They're like, nah, I need to pay for food.
Well, as we move towards the next Great Depression.
Ugh, great.
Yeah, I don't know if people will abandon gaming entirely, but
No, but
Probably not, but I
the
think they'll
thing is
pivot to, like previous games, not the newer stuff, to, where it's cheaper.
sure, or buying
they'll-
less. Buying less isn't always an option.
they'll save up for that one game they want to buy that year.
Which is what we
Kind of
did
thing.
when we were young anyway. Like, I didn't get multiple games a year. I would get maybe one or two. And then
Yeah,
that's the game
exactly.
you played the whole year. And I mean, it's not to mention that Switch 2, despite the fact it sold fairly well, has been received kind of poorly. A lot of the first party games have been kind of eh. And Nintendo's practices with the console have been kind of poor. And I haven't seen a justification to move to a Switch 2 when I have a Switch and I'm happy with my Switch.
Right.
Why do I move to the new console that isn't even an immense leap forward technologically? It's just another handheld that's slightly bigger that runs a little better. Yay.
Yeah, I haven't seen the killer app on Switch yet that's been like, oh yeah, I gotta play this. I gotta upgrade to the Switch 2. Yeah, just haven't seen that.
Mario Kart and then Donkey Kong are really the only two. There have been a lot of word of porting of some games over, like some big games, but it's like, eh. You got to have the first party game to justify me going out. It's got to be the big Mario or the big Zelda. The Zelda more than anything. Smash Brothers.
A new Smash Brothers would bring a lot of people.
But how do you top Smash Brothers Ultimate? They already went too far. It's already the most ultimate. No, I'm not joking. They had every character that ever existed in Smash ever. It nearly killed the guy who made Smash to try and make sure it was the best thing possible. It is over the top, immensely huge. Like, how do you top the biggest? Like, you're never going to get licensing agreements for the next version. Like, you really think you're going to get Sora to come back in the next version? The amount of discussion and negotiations with Disney to try and get Sora over were absurd. Let alone Snake.
Yeah,
Snake didn't exist.
Have their pound of flesh.
Snake didn't exist in the last version of Smash. They got him back for Ultimate. Ultimate is literally the ultimate version of Smash Brothers. How do you top that game?
They bring back.
They brought back everybody already.
They brought back Captain Falcon.
Yes,
From
everybody
F-Zero?
that ever existed in Smash Brothers was in Ultimate. Everybody.
Wow.
That's why the game was so big. Everybody, they negotiate all of the licensing that they couldn't get over multiple versions of the game. Everybody that's ever existed in Smash showed up in Ultimate, and more characters that you never saw.
More.
It is literally the biggest Smash. Like, how do you go? Well, we're coming out with the next one. Like, people are going to expect more. Like, how do you do more?
I don't know. I mean, there's so many characters that you could include from the back catalog that haven't been included yet. But I mean, is that really going to top Ultimate?
No. Dragon Quest showed up. Freaking Simon Belmont showed up.
Yeah, yeah.
Characters you never expected to see.
I mean, the thing is you could if you're going down Castlevania, you could bring in Dracula. If you're going down, I mean, I'm trying to think of who, there's you could have the guy from Blaster Master. You could have.
But these aren't like big devastate. Like,
yeah, exactly.
They had polls of what everybody wanted to see as new characters, and the top one was Sora, which was like the ask that nobody could get because it was a Disney property with Square. And it's like, there's no way you're going to get Disney to agree to let Sora come to Smash. They did it. That was the hard one. The rest are just like, I mean, you're lucky to get this character to show up. I mean, you had skins so that you could play like freaking stupid character from Undertale showed up as a skin.
Yeah.
Like, they're everywhere. I mean, I don't know. Smash would be a thing to sell consoles, but you have to justify your console. And this generation hasn't really had console devastating. Like, I love the Series X. I think it's a great console. I love the when you play it and it save states where you left off. I think it's a great piece of hardware. I really like Game Pass. What were the killer apps? Like, it should have been Starfield. It wasn't. It wasn't Dragon Age. like there are a lot of that. Like, they needed their killer apps. They really didn't have any on Xbox. Yeah. Like, none that I can think of.
No.
PlayStation had some, but none that would have dragged me over. Like, all of their killer apps were just like, eh. Like Elden Ring, but Elden Ring was cross-console, cross-platform. Yeah. If it was exclusive to one, it would have been something, but I don't know where everything's going, but it's changing. And a lot of people, we fear change. We fear the direction things are going. It's hard to say what gaming looks like in the future, and it may get to the point where consoles go away. Like, we may interact with things in a different way than we ever have before. We may be existing in a pre-car world when we're running around in our buggies with horses, and we can't predict new technology that will be invented and new types of like they might be able to start just putting everything on like handheld tablets and you just play everything on your tablet for all I know.
Yeah.
And then everything goes mobile and you can just plug it in your like the Switch model might not be far off. Who knows where I mean, everybody talks about their personal PCs and stuff. Like my mother doesn't really use her computer or her laptop. She does email and stuff on all on her cell phone. Like
Yeah.
the amount of necessity of even having a personal computer is becoming less and less for a lot of people. And you might go, oh, well, I need a computer every day. Yeah, maybe for your job or for school, but that's becoming less and less. I knew people who would buy tablets and then use their tablet with a little keyboard, and that would be all of their school they needed. They didn't need a full-blown computer.
There
Things are
is some
changing.
speculation that there's going to be a lot more that people are going to be doing like work from home. I don't know.
Maybe. That model has been pushed against heavily since the end of COVID. Like people thought, oh, I could work from home forever. They've been dragging people back to the office. I think coordination and cost has been a factor when it comes to businesses, and it's a lot easier. It's a lot harder to work with somebody from home. Sometimes you just need them in office, and some businesses can't necessarily do that.
Very true.
With the advent of AI, things are shifting. People have been making full-blown like CGI movies with AI that look like Pixar. And who knows how AI is going to affect the market when it comes to programming, which programming has become a big issue because you can see the AI code, and a lot of the time you have to go in and fix it. If you don't know enough about programming to fix it, then it becomes a problem because everybody's turning their code AI generated.
Yeah. I have a little bit of knowledge of that because we've been dealing with that at work right now. And from what I've heard, the the more experienced programmers are looking at the junior programmers and despairing because the junior programmers come in, they know how to use the AI tools, but they don't understand what's going on beneath, underneath the hood. And because of that, they can't fix problems that AI introduces into the code. They don't recognize problems. And so AI generated code, what they've been finding, at least from what I've been hearing, is that if you do small, simple things, it's great. If you try to have it do a big thing, then it takes more time to review the code than if you'd just done it all yourself.
For now,
but it's going to get better.
But it'll get better. See, that's the problem. A lot of coding jobs are extremely useful now. Who knows where they go in the future? Like, it might just be like all AI generated in the future. And there are a lot. AI is going to affect mostly well-paid white-collar jobs. Like, it'll eliminate a lot of like paper pushing or menial tasks. Data entry is going to go away. It's a brave new world out there. And this is like industrial revolution scale of like transition across a lot of markets. Who knows where we're going to come out the other side. I didn't include in the docket, but there's an AI girl that is the people who created her are actually signing deals with Hollywood for her to be featured and stuff.
Wow.
I saw that.
Like, imagine where we're going, where even fake girls are being signed for Hollywood because she's popular or something. Like, they could just replace us with somebody screaming at the microphone. All you do is need enough of our podcast to know what I would say. I mean, look at the AI generated Joe Rogan stuff. Constant. They know how he's going to say things or what he's going to respond to. Just say something about drugs or aliens or some whatever. Who knows where we're going to fit into the future market with future jobs. I mean, especially when you're trying to figure out what your career is going to be, it is going to scare the crap out of you because it's unpredictable. especially with gaming. Who knows where this is going to go? Because the market's shifting. Stuff is getting bought out. The current models aren't functioning. It's a brave new world out there, everybody. Let's go to the news dump. There's so much more to talk about.
The Distracted Gamer Podcast. Big steaming pile of news dump.
We're going to say squatting outside because I like looking at the castle.
To the bottom of that mountain.
I'm just going to take a little squat out here in front of the castle.
Admire it. Yes.
Admire it.
Not get struck by lightning.
Not get struck by lightning. Well, don't hold that steel rod while you're taking a poop, Silver.
I have to. How do you do
Hold this
it?
for me.
Don't tell me what to do.
I'd loft it above my head.
Where's your
and I
pooping
proceed.
rod? Hey, did I say Saudi Arabia? Well, let's talk more about Saudi Arabia.
Oh God.
In a shocking turn of events, Saudi Arabia has had a massive comedy festival. Forked out absurd amounts of money to drag in the biggest names in comedy to Riyadh to have a massive comedy festival. That's right. Huge names were being brought in. Crossing from Louis C.K., Dave Chappelle, Bill Burr, all across the board. It is a massive festival, and they forked out absurd money. Absurd money. I wish I found the list of comedians. Let's see. Comedians at
So
Saudi.
I've heard of them doing like comedy shows there in the Middle East. One of the ones that I remember was Jeff Dunham did a world tour, and he ended up at doing some stuff in the Middle East. As I recall, in order for him to do that, they had to do the comedy show out of town, like out in the desert somewhere. They like put up an enormous tent and did the comedy show like outside of the cities. Did they do that for this one?
I don't believe so. They seemed like they were in an arena.
Hmm.
Pete Davidson, Bill Burr, Kevin Hart, Dave Chappelle. Like the list is absurd. Like every big name that's a part of this, that's in comedy, was a part of this. Now, here's where the controversy becomes really important. For people, especially comedians, who have been decrying freedom of speech
Yeah,
constantly and wanting their voices to be heard, apparently throw that out the bloomin' window when fat stacks of Middle Eastern money come your way. And you might go, oh, well, that's not fair. They couldn't talk about certain things in Riyadh. They couldn't talk about the royal family. They couldn't talk about religion. And particularly Bill Burr got a lot of flack because he constantly talks about how terrible America is, and then he accepted a bunch of money for human rights violators, Saudi Arabia. Dave Chappelle went and spoke there, claiming that he has more freedom of speech in Saudi Arabia than he does
my
in
gosh,
America.
no.
What?
That's right.
That's garbage right there.
Except for the fact that he would be arrested or kicked
Uh-huh.
out. I mean, talk about the LGBTQ community in Riyadh.
Exactly.
Hey, talk to them about freedom of expression for people you supposedly might support. All of these left-wing comedians, their values go out the bloomin' window when somebody shows up with a lot of money. You know what? Values don't mean anything when they can be bought. Guess who turned it down?
What?
Shane Gillis turned it down.
Oh, heck yeah.
He did. And he turned him down, and they came back with double the money, and he still said no. And on his podcast, he claimed, "You're supposed to be our friends, and you're not supposed to 9/11 your friends." Lest we forget, everybody on the plane were Saudis. Shane Gillis turned it down. Your values are meaningless if they can be bought. So if you care about the LGBTQ community, you shouldn't have gone to Saudi. If you care about values and freedom of speech, let me remind everybody, the reporter who spoke poorly of the Saudi family who turned up dead in a suitcase.
Oh gosh.
Let's forget that homosexuality is banned in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
And somehow you have more freedom of speech, Dave Chappelle, there than here. No one's stopping you from saying what you want to.
Nope.
You just don't like the fact that people disagree, but no one's stopping you. Guess what you couldn't say? Jokes about the Saudi family. Does that sound like freedom of speech to you? Everybody seems confused. Do we need to go back to the other podcast 2 weeks ago where we had a sit-down conversation about what freedom of speech meant? It's not that. It's not Saudi Arabia. That's not what it means. People seem to be baffled as to what freedom of speech means. Freedom of speech only means something when you can say what you want to without being arrested by the government.
Yep.
No.
Dave
Doesn't
Chappelle's
mean that
funny.
some-
He's also a dipshit for saying that.
Yeah. It doesn't mean that you won't get punched in the face by some biker named Tiny, but you won't be arrested and thrown in a gulag or killed by the government. That's what freedom of speech is. And America just keeps forgetting that.
Look at this sellout. Bill Burr.
So I was trying to find out where the comedy show was. It's apparently in a place called Boulevard City, which is a mixed-use development for entertainment specifically. So that's probably why they're able to have this comedy show there. But apparently there was a well-known lesbian comic that was also included in this, and she got a ton of flack for appearing at this comedy show.
Yeah, but the money, though.
The Muns.
A lot of speculation, especially this article from The Nation, seems to think that stuff like this is trying to help revitalize Saudi Arabia's poor image.
Yeah.
Aw.
That might be so.
You know what would help Saudi Arabia?
Fix your
I
image.
can think of a number of things right off the top of my head. Freedom of speech, freedom of religion. Those are just two right there.
I can't do that. Too hard.
Oh, Saudis got their fingers in everything, and they got fat stacks of cash. They're going to buy out your values, and they're going to buy your gaming companies, and there's not a dang thing you can do about it. There's some speculation they might buy the WWE.
Oh my
Wow.
gosh.
Saudi for life!
Vince is sitting there already counting it right now.
Counting it right now. Apparently the word is that Amazon can't cancel Rings of Power because
Oh
there's
my
a
gosh.
clause with Tolkien Estate that if they cancel it before 5 seasons, it's going to cost them money.
Oh my gosh. As if it hasn't cost them so much already.
Well, weigh it
They
against
should
the
bite
amount of
the
money
bullet
you
right
spend.
now.
Weigh it against the amount of money you spend per season compared to the amount it will cost to terminate the show early.
Yeah.
And then make your
They're
decision.
not going to make their money back here either way.
It almost damaged Amazon's reputation, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what's also funnier with Amazon's bad damaged reputation? So Amazon owns James Bond now, and they're going to make their own James Bond movies or whatever. Here's something that's funny. So they have a lot of promotional imagery for the previous Bond movies. It's not shown here. Well, it is shown here. What they did for the promotional material is they edited out the guns in the original images.
Really?
For the
That's so dumb.
as if James
He all over
Bond
again.
doesn't shoot guns.
No, he uses karate exclusively, not lethal.
I wonder if they're going to do the ET where they're all holding radios in the movies.
Their radios, for some reason, bark and kill people.
You got to pretend Sean Connery didn't become Japanese, huh?
That's
Flawlessly.
amazing.
Yeah.
Amazon owning your favorite franchises is good. It's good. It's good for you.
It's great.
Yeah, bunch of freaking morons.
ChatGPT apparently is going to stop referencing Reddit, which caused their stock to drop 12%,
Okay,
which is
so
a non-significant number.
right. Is this something that Reddit was fueling? Are they behind this? Or they're like, hey, ChatGPT, you can't reference us anymore. And then basically everybody's like, well, we can't go with Reddit anymore. They're doing something stupid.
I don't think Reddit's directly behind it, but to read the article, Reddit stock fell roughly 12% Wednesday, extending a decline from the previous trading session, amid new data that showed that the use of its content in leading AI chatbot ChatGPT had plummeted mid-September. Reddit content was cited in just 2% of ChatGPT responses on Tuesday, much lower than the 9.7% of ChatGPT responses that cited Reddit the previous month. So it seems like a ChatGPT shift, which everybody's like, oh no.
I mean, it does kind of make sense that ChatGPT is going to stop referencing it because they would have to figure out a deal with Reddit to be able to reference their content. And they
I don't
probably
know.
don't want to do that.
At the very least, to drew traffic, which is something Reddit would want.
Yeah, that's I but we already kind of talked about that. Not everybody is rational in these things.
So James Gunn has called fans racist and admit he has no oversight over
gosh.
WB and the DCU projects. So let's
Oh my gosh.
read.
No wonder Superman was awful.
Instead of acknowledging that some fans simply didn't like the direction, James Gunn went on in the offensive, labeling them racist. To quote, I have a few racists that have called me polarizing, but I'm okay with being polarizing and letting racists fall to the wayside. I think if you're racist, you're probably not using the language of polarizing.
Yeah. If somebody calls you polarizing, that's not a racist statement.
Well, but the response calling somebody racist basically means that you're allowed to dismiss anything that they say because they're a bad person now. But in reality, if you're racist, you're probably going to say racist stuff instead of saying, "Well, I think your movie's polarizing." It's like, well, that's not racist. That's just
Exactly.
someone that just doesn't like your movie. Also, at a Shocky Turner event, he has apparently no oversight when it comes to all the stuff he's putting out, which explains Peacemaker because it sucks.
Yeah, and it explains Peacemaker. It explains Superman. It explains the direction he's taking the DCEU.
It is no longer DCEU. It is DCU.
So yeah, but it explains the direction he's taking the DCU because there's no oversight. He's like, I can do whatever the heck I want, and that's why we're going to have the authority. Like, what?
Didn't they already make a bad decision, the same company, when it came to Joker with no oversight of Joker 2 and it went poorly?
Yes.
The authority also,
yeah.
the authority isn't on the block anymore. Like he was going to do that. It's no
Wow.
longer even remotely in the view. Like if he can't even get Superman
surprised.
right, get Superman right and then do Batman. Stop trying to step ahead of yourself with all these other stupid nonsense. Nobody likes Peacemaker. It is a weird, horrifically racist and really dirty show with a lot of pornography in it. Like, it's a dirty
Wow.
show. Your
How many
kid
seasons
shouldn't
have they
watch
done
it.
of Peacemaker now?
We're on 2.
Really? I thought it was anyway. Didn't everybody like the first season of Peacemaker?
No,
Really? Okay.
no, they didn't. And 2 has gone insane, like off the rocker. He ended up in a new world that's super racist, where basically the Yahtzees won, and the American flag has a swastika on it.
No. Okay.
And everybody's making a joke of like, how come your new world seems better than the old one? And why is it better now that it's more racist? And then you had a commentary from a black woman being like, well, I guess this doesn't feel that different from what it is in the world we came from.
Gosh. People are so stupid.
This is how you ruin a franchise. Become overtly political in a weird, pandering way. It is weird. Look, I get it. Dialogue has gone insane when it comes to politics. But it's not getting better by claiming everybody who disagrees with you is somehow part of a party from the 1930s Germany. Calm down. Calm down, James Gunn. But whatever, it's time to move on. So I'm not going to dwell on this. There's apparently a big drama between Tectone, a streamer on Twitch, and Hassan. People have gone exhaustingly over his stuff and marked all of the times he advocated for violence. And it caused a bunch of drama, and Tectone has had drama with him over the comments about Charlie Kirk and all of the other violent advocacy stuff. Because Hassan is he's very lefty, let's just say. Well, he's refusing to go to TwitchCon because Tectone is going to be at TwitchCon because now they're concerned about safety and security. So Pokemon's also not going to go, as well as some other big streamers. And people are wondering if they're going to cancel TwitchCon over all of the drama. Because Hassan ain't going to go if Tectone's going to go.
Oh my god.
I don't care about Twitch, but let it burn. Anyway, let's move on. Another bit of drama that I'm not going to spend a lot of time on. Hey everybody, J.K. Rowling and Emma Watson are fighting.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah. I've heard some of this. It's
We
some of
don't
it is kind of interesting, but
need to spend a lot of time. Everybody's talked about this drama. There are countless places to go to. Needless to say, she has, now that the political winds have shifted, Emma Watson has been trying to be somewhat magnanimous with J.K. Rowling, and J.K. Rowling basically suplexed her in this big, long response. Emma Watson has been, look, as much as a feminist as she is, people had, like, were sending death threats and hate towards Rowling, and Emma Watson didn't say a thing, but apparently privately sent a little note to her, which meant nothing, because...
Yep.
And then she tried to say this very passive, like, well, you know, I wish we could have friends that we disagree with. Let's just say this.
Yeah,
Emma Watson, you've done nothing significant since Harry Potter, and people will forget you before they'll ever forget Harry Potter. If you really want to get into the drama, which is dramatic, feel free to engage with that. It's all over the internet. I figured it was worth addressing. Anyway. More drama. Elon Musk found that they had a bunch of children's programming advocating for transgender representation, which caused him to advocate to cancel Netflix, which actually had people follow suit, which is weird because more people are canceling Netflix over Elon Musk saying cancel Netflix than people who actually cancel Disney Plus because of the Jimmy Kimmel drama.
Wow.
Yep.
Huh.
Sounds like more people care about what Elon Musk has to say than Jimmy Kimmel.
Yeah, more or less. It seems like Netflix's stock has dropped 2.5%. I don't know how much that translates to actual subscription drops, but it hasn't been a positive response for Netflix.
Wow.
No one cares to defend the giant corporation. Hey, everybody. It looks like we've got a more clarified cost of Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, and the cost has soared to about $400 million
Yikes.
for a movie that sucked.
This is exactly what we've been talking about on the podcast for ages now. Is the fact that nobody seems to be able to create a movie or a video game with a decent budget that actually makes them money. They're like, oh, the last Indiana Jones cost us this much, so this Indiana Jones can't cost us the same amount of money. We have to double the cost. Like, what? That doesn't make any sense. If you made the prior Indiana Jones for a certain amount, maybe increase the budget 10, 20%. Don't go double. That's stupid. Don't go triple. Just give it a modest increase.
Nope. All or nothing. Everything is,
Well, it's
gambling
not all or
in
nothing. It's double or
Las
nothing.
Vegas. Throw all your money at it and go into debt. All right, and our final story, Ghosts of Yotei has come out. Now, this is a game I have railed against because I hate the direction that they're taking, because I loved Ghost of Tsushima. Now, apparently it sold pretty well right out the gate. Now, take this for what it is, because a lot of people who are shills for certain products will come out right away and declare victory because they see indication or even pretend sales are better than they are. Let's assume that the sales are 1 million copies, which is selling faster than Ghost of Tsushima. Now, does that mean it's a better game?
Okay.
Well, Ghost of Tsushima was an untested game, which had
True.
long
It
legs
was a
after
new
that.
IP.
And Ghost of Yotei
Yeah.
is running off of the fame of Ghost of Tsushima. That's why the sales right out the gate. That doesn't mean people like the direction it's going. This is what happened with Last of Us Part 2, where the initial sales are good and then they dropped off dramatically. That's what happened with Spider-Man 2. Initial sales were good because people love Spider-Man 1, and then the sales dropped off when they decided they didn't like the game. That doesn't mean the game is bad. I don't like the politics or the company or the main character. The actress is an activist. All these different reasons why I simply am not interested in purchasing the game. Does that mean the game is bad? I don't know. I haven't touched a game or gotten into it. I've heard from the get-go that she seems kind of girl bossy and more awesome out the gate rather than Jin Sakai basically loses constantly in the beginning of Ghost of Tsushima. Like, he gets thrown off a bridge. Like, he sucks at the beginning of Ghost of Tsushima. Time will have to tell whether Ghost of Yotei has legs down the road and whether it sells good. I'm not invested into whether or not the game is good or bad or whether or not it succeeds or not. I would like to see games that do stuff that I don't like, do poorly, but if it does well, then whatever. I'm not trying to yuck on your yum if you like the game. That being said, I'm not interested in the game, and this does not mean the game is good. It just means that initial sales are good because people like the other one.
Right.
So we'll see where it goes.
It really has, like you said, it really has no bearing on Ghosts of Yotei. All of this is because of how much people liked Ghost of Tsushima. That's it.
Yep. And
We're
Ghost of
gonna need to start
Tsushima
getting reviews and
was awesome.
reactions to this.
So yeah, we'll see where it goes. You know what I did when Ghost of Yotei came out? I played Ghost of Tsushima. Because I already have a good game that doesn't insult me or history. So, whatever. I'm fine. I didn't have to play Assassin's Creed Shadows either. And that also didn't do well. Even though they declared
And
it
you're
was success from the beginning.
Just fine.
Yeah, I'm super fine. My life is fine. I have plenty of other stuff to play. I'll do just fine. Reflections on anything we talked about tonight, Silver.
Well, I kept waiting for Ghost of Yote stuff. I'm glad we talked about it at the last second there.
Yeah.
I've heard it's horrible.
Oh, have you? Who have you heard that from?
Just random circulating stuff on the internet.
Oh,
so
okay.
take that for what you will, but yes, they all say she's very girl bossy and not a great character. I don't know what to say about that.
Apparently, they
like,
intentionally made her ugly because the creators
Oh
wanted.
my God.
Yeah,
They thought that attractive characters were overrepresented, or I don't remember what it was, but
that's what I heard. Everyone's like, "Oh my gosh, she looks like a beaten potato," or something.
awesome.
That's hilarious.
I've never seen the character, but that is funny.
That was hilarious, yeah.
Jason.
I don't know. Like we tell you almost every single week, vote with your wallet. Tell these companies to stop screwing around by not buying their crap. And by not buying their crap, I mean both figuratively and literally.
Yeah, but FOMO though. I have to buy the new thing because if
FOMO
I
is a
don't,
thing.
if I don't buy it and all my friends buy it, then I'm going to be left out. And I have to buy the new thing. I have to spend all of my money every week on every new thing because I'm gonna feel left out.
Yeah, go on the internet. You can find you can live vicariously through somebody else who wasted their money.
Well, Let's Plays are kind of on the outs. They're not as huge as they used to be. I've got plenty of games to play. I've got a backlog of stuff I've not finished. I don't need new stuff.
too.
I don't need new games from companies that hate me.
Those
I
are my
don't.
favorite kind of
dare you.
game.
I exclusively buy games from companies who hate me.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the new business model that these companies have been trying to push, and look how well it's been working for them.
That guy who made the list of every game that Sweet Baby Inc. was involved in, that's my purchasing list.
Only buy it from there.
Ruin the narrative for the sole purpose of representation and DEI purposes? Absolutely.
That's my kind of game.
Offensively change history and make it irrational and not realistic? Absolutely.
Just beautiful. Delicious.
Every character that's a villain is white? Yummy.
And with tiny mustaches. Yes.
Yes, exactly, yes. The future's looking bright, everybody. As we stand outside Horror Castle. I'm going to sit in my castle all smug and frown. Darkness sustains me.
And I'll sit at the bottom of the mountain
With your poop stick.
with my poop stick.
Well, everybody, it's been a special podcast. Everybody mock Ross for missing it. It is all his fault. He is a loser. But it is time.
I do want to say.
Oh, dude.
I did crack open a fortune cookie while I was sitting here, and
Oh.
it said a treasured friend will visit soon. Thanks, Ross. When it gets my fortune.
You have made her lose her belief in magic.
And my belief in fortune cookies, you've ruined it. It's like telling me that Santa doesn't exist.
The future, the world is less magical now.
It's your fault, Ross.
Way to go, Ross.
You know that.
Let's get out of here. Thanks for coming along. It's been a fun podcast and a stupid amount of stuff to talk about. Like, comment, subscribe, all of that stuff works out. Share with your friends, blah, blah, blah. Let's get out of here. Bye!
If you like the show, follow Rhett, Jason, Ross, and Silver, the world's most lethally stupid internet personalities, on Twitter at DG Podcast or on Instagram at Distracted Gamers. If you liked or hated what you heard here today, you can email them at thedistractedgamers@gmail.com and share your feelings. Not that Jason would care, since he hasn't any, of course.
Oh my God, it's so juicy.